Per usual, I feel like we have a ton of catching up to do between the last couple videos on the 05 and the first gen, and now, which is currently Saturday, I would say afternoon / night. So some things have developed, some things have been apart, some things have been happening, so I kind of just want to catch you guys up. That way you're not out of the loop between the next time the trucks go out or anything like that. So we've got the first gen apart. If you guys watched the previous two videos, we've got the first gen on the dyno. Didn't end so well. If you missed that video, go back. You'll kind of catch up with all of the action there. And then the video before that was the 05's first dyno competition, which we made a bunch of power. So between those two trucks, kind of want to recap everything that's going on in the shop and just kind of do a quick recap before we get into getting some work done on the dually and the 15. We might bounce around a little bit in this video. It's kind of more or less like a weekend catch up with some miscellaneous stuff, but we're gonna start with doing a little recap action. The 05 is over in the race shop, so we'll start there and then go back over to the first gen, kind of explain what happened. It's very easy to kind of see now that the truck's apart exactly what happened. It'll make a whole lot more sense. But before we do that, of course, you know I have to get it in. Guys, we are down to the final days on the 5th gen giveaway. If you have waited to get entered, now is it. This is probably gonna be one of the last couple reminders in the YouTube videos to get entered to win the 5th gen. We got the 17s and meats back on there. Again, don't worry about this. We'll get into that in another video, but check it out. Guys, this could be your new rig, your new trailer, 10 grand in cash, key tag, a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a hat, it doesn't matter. Get entered to win that. Support the channel, support your boys, greatly appreciated. That is one of the most sickest setups that we have done, and I'm pumped for it to go to one of you guys. And honestly, it doesn't even seem real that it's almost over, but if you're waiting till the last minute, we're getting pretty close. But anyway, race shop, the 05 is back in here. Oop. As we almost trip and fall over some boxes from Nitrous Express. We've got some more bottles over there. We've got some more goodies from Nitrous Express. Guys, the 05. So real quick recap on the 05. Made a bunch of power. Really just want to hit on maintaining stuff that is doing a lot of work. So just to fill you guys in, that way you just don't think that we go to these events, we do a couple 2,000 horsepower pulls, and then it sits until we have to use it again. The maintenance requirements on something like this are fairly extensive, and really more or less just want to fill you guys in. That way, if it's something you guys are looking to getting into, again, my allergies still messed up. So what we've done in the meantime is we have changed the oil, we have dropped the transmission pan, we have made sure everything looks good. We're actually gonna be starting to race this thing. The weather is starting to finally come around. Local track test and tunes are back in action, and then Rudy's season opener in North Carolina is coming up fast. Every time we use this thing, there's always little things that pop up, things come loose. We do a nut and bolt check across the board. We go ahead and retorque the, hot retorque the head, make sure nothing's moved there. We check our valve train. We check a lot of different stuff. Again, this is why it's kind of important, and super thankful for all of the guys that help us out, especially the AMSOIL guys, with making sure our fluids are changed. We change more fluids on this thing than you would care to even know, but huge thank you to them for always helping us out. So there's a lot of checks that go into making sure this thing stays consistent. While some of the maintenance seems absolutely overkill, and whether it's needed or not, one of the main objectives to kind of doing all that and getting all of that done is really to hopefully catch things that may have pop up or will pop up at an event, at a race, before they do that. I'd rather have them happen here. That's why, is the transmission, is there anything wrong in the transmission? No. Is there anything wrong with the oil in it? No. Is there anything wrong with the valve train? No. But by taking it apart, by dropping fluids, by taking things slightly apart, It's actually in hopes that we either can say, hey, we're definitely good, or hey, we see something, we need to dive a little bit deeper. The new Fire Punk brakes are doing absolutely awesome. Again, with the dyno, riding them a little bit, we're maintaining those, making sure everything still looks good on the rear end. Again, just more checks and stuff and things, but I keep hinting around it, but the plan is to do UCC this year with this truck. So there's a lot more that goes into that with sled pulling, all of that stuff. So that is still the goal. It is a lofty goal, but that is still the plan. While we're on the topic of UCC, you guys have heard me say if you guys are gonna get UCC tickets ahead of time, they are cheaper now than they will be at the gate. I know it's a little bit far away, but if you're going to try and save as much money on UCC tickets, because they are a little expensive at the gate, make sure you guys get them now online, but you can also use code FIREPUNK and save even more money, and that extremely helps out the FirePunk guys. So make sure if you guys are gonna get UCC tickets, get them now, get them early, and use code FIREPUNK. I'll put it up on the screen to make sure you're safe. But anyway, that bad unit in the background. Anyway, let's go talk about the first gen. Actually, not that bad, thankfully. So let's walk over there. The turbo's over there getting ready to get sent out. But we've got it apart, and the exhaust, the exhaust housing, the turbine housing on the manifold charger actually broke, if you guys saw that. So we've got everything apart here as far as piping wise, the big turbo. Thankfully, it was really best case scenario. Michael got it shut down really early. We shut the truck off and no wheels actually disintegrated, exploded, went through. The big charger went through the engine. So no other harm was really done to anything bigger, which is really good news. Normally, when turbo things happen, whether it's your fault or not, it usually means you're going through other things. So here's where the first gen is sitting currently. We do have some bigger plans that I've kind of developed for the first gen. Not going to really get into those right this second, but data logging is key. We don't have anything on this truck, and even just this little wake-up call here, I would say, is enough for me to shelf some earlier plans with the truck in order to make sure, again, going back to the 05, we look at maintenance, we look at logs, we make sure that we're operating in a safe, wild zone, let's put it that way, but we know everything is jiving correctly. And with this being a fairly new engine, new turbo setup, guessing just has become uncomfortable. While it takes a long time and you're just like, why don't you just send it? This isn't why it happens, but it's potentially why it could happen. So we've got nitrous that we need to make nicer. We've got data logging stuff that really should go in the truck. So anyway, like I said, I'm not going to get fully into it, but in order to push that truck as hard as we want to, it's not doable while guessing. So here's an up close look at the turbo, and hopefully this kind of makes you guys understand exactly what broke on it. So back in the day, again, this is a stainless diesel S480. It is a 96 turbine wheel. So this housing is from back in the day. Normally, and again, we're talking front side of the turbo and back side of the turbo for those of you guys who are still a little unfamiliar. So when I say 80 millimeter compressor, we're talking about the front side of the turbo. And when we start talking about the exhaust wheel, we're talking about the 96 is what I'm referencing, the wheel size on the back side. Now, when you start talking exhaust housing sizing, that's the ratio between this wheel and this housing. So, you know, you talk about, a lot of guys are more familiar with like smaller S400 stuff. You've got like an 83 wheel, you've got a 0.9 or maybe a 1.0 housing, or maybe a 110 housing is a little bit looser. So on a 96 wheel, back in the day, 132 housings are kind of your common normal. Now, when you run this in a compound setup and you want the manifold charger to kind of spool a little bit better, you want to try and tighten that up. So this housing, you can see, has been modified, you can see there's a weld here, there's a weld here, there's a weld here, and the rest of that flange is still right here on the clamp. You can actually see one of the welds there, and you can see our wheel damage right here. So back in the day, there were not a lot of great options to run a tighter housing on a 96. Sorry, my nose is running. We're rolling with it, boys. There was no great options other than what this was to do like a 110 housing on a 96 wheel. That's why this is welded, and why was that even welded? Because it's an older housing from back in the day that we reused. Nothing to do with the stainless diesel stuff. So stainless now has a 115 housing, no welds, no nothing. It's basically the evolution of these bigger chargers getting used in a little bit of a different way. So thankfully, our nice race cover here that we had welded on, stuff like that, none of that looks to be in bad shape. We are going to send this to our awesome boys at Stainless Diesel. Those guys are absolutely awesome. Johnny is the absolute man, and he is going to get us fixed up. But we should be able to have him check this out, get us set up with a new turbine wheel, and get rid of this junk housing and have no more welded nonsense, and still run a little bit of a tighter housing on the manifold charger. And we should be able to not have to remake our compound piping. And that was one of my biggest concerns, is when you start changing stuff to updated things and latest and greatest and all that stuff, while in a single application it's usually not a problem. When you start getting compounds and all your pipes line up a certain way, even just a little bit of like a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of a difference in some depth measurements will throw your piping completely off. So according to him, we should be good, but we're gonna get that turbo sent off to him. He's gonna give it a clean bill of health. Just wanted to kind of keep you guys in the loop, just in case there's a lapse in time of videos and you guys see the stuff in the background. Just trying to keep you guys updated on everything that is happening. But anyway, we got the dually and the 15 cleaned up late last night, got them washed up, long overdue, so good from far, but far from good. Anyway, what we're jumping into first, and just kind of catching up on some long overdue things and stuff that have been halfway done. On the dually, here's what we got. You guys know we installed our 5th gen taillights with that harness. Turns out you can actually switch the sides, so when you turn your blinker on to the right, my left tail light, when we tested them, they were correct, and then somehow when the wiring got underneath the truck, I've got the harness swapped, so my blinkers are incorrect. So yeah, that's a problem when someone's behind you. When we did all of our paint matching and we redid all of our mirrors on either one of these trucks, they both are actually running these Boost Auto mirror lights, which on the 15 we've got switchbacks because all the lights are white, and I believe I remember correctly if I told you guys that the dually is staying amber. What I didn't know, and I found out after the fact, that you can actually dual function these in the amber as well. So these can be clearance lights that can be on with the cab lights, with all of the other clearance lights on the truck, and they can also be blinkers. So right now they're only set up to be blinkers, which I really want them to be on all the time. Especially it just gives it that really awesome look. The cab lights are bright, the mirror lights will be bright, we've got the amber still down here. These are the dual function version 2 wiring is what we need for the amber lights in here. So if you guys are looking for all types of mirror stuff, the mirror lights, even mirrors themselves, Boost Auto is the move, honestly. So go check those guys out, but that's where we're kind of starting. I'm gonna get the dually done just because the taillight thing is really gotta get. All right, first easy thing should be taken care of. All right, would you look at that? We have the correct blinker on the right side. Look at that. Now people behind me won't actually be extremely annoyed. Okay, right is right, left is left. Look at that. Okay, so if you get that harness, make sure you actually test and make sure that's good. A little bit of lapse in time, but I want to kind of go over where we're at and kind of what we've gotten done on this one side. I wanted to listen to the instructions on the video that Boost Auto gives you and kind of understand it. And I think I've gained some understanding that might kind of clarify a couple different things, especially with the dually and the 15 and the different lights on them, because the colors actually make a big difference. We're a little behind on the progress on this video because we did happen to go score this Laramie lower valance bumper trim. Brandy new. Huge thank you to Nathan. So we did take a little road trip to go grab that. But anyway, guys, on these lights, now, like I said, this kit that we're installing from Boost Auto can actually be done on your factory lights. You don't actually even need these, because I think the confusion that I had is the wires that run through the mirror. We don't actually need to run any additional wires on these dual function ones because we're not changing the color and they're not switchbacks. So I had actually taken this mirror cap off thinking that we're gonna need to run wires, and we don't actually need to do that. It's all actually done inside here within your wiring in the truck, which is actually really nice. So if you're not actually doing switchbacks, and again, I'm still learning all this stuff, but if you're staying amber and you really just want to dual function your factory lights, or you can dual function the smoked Boost Auto ones, which just look a lot cooler, you can do that. They actually make two different versions. Version 1 would be a little bit dimmer and a brighter blinker, and version 2 would be a bright clearance light and a bright blinker. I'll show you guys. This side is actually fully functioning and working. And again, you're really just modifying your factory wiring in here. We've got their module, we've got all the stuff that comes in their kit. You can see we've got it all tied up really nicely. And then you do still have to go through the door panel. I've got this side apart so we can actually take a look at that. But here's the wire that we need. And you can see this is the connector here on this passenger side that we're gonna tap into. I know we breezed through it a little bit, and I really just told you to go watch the Boost Auto instructions, which they do a very good job, but really I want to explain kind of exactly what you're changing on your factory wiring. That way, if it's something you're comfortable with, or if you're not comfortable with, at least you know what you're getting into before you go ahead and do this. So really, in your door panel on either side, you've got this module here, and this is the plug that we're talking about, this black wire here, and this is what we're tapping into. So this is basically a ground, and I would call this, what are they running this to? I think they call this, yeah, the signal wire, that blue wire. So you have to cut your factory wiring here in two different spots. So you've got the signal and the ground. You basically cut those in half, and you're basically kind of tapping into that, allowing this to kind of take over function. So as you guys can see here, we've got one cut in this wire right here, and we've got it reconnected with this wire integrated in, and then also same on basically the signal wire here. We went ahead and one of them goes into there, and the other one goes into this. So two wires that need to be cut, kind of runs into here, and then as you can see, this orange wire is, and they've got a quick disconnect right here, which is really nice. Again, in case you have to remove your wiring, you almost integrate the truck side to the removable side, and then this runs through your factory boot up in here, and that's what kind of goes over to where we're picking up the power in the truck. And again, I'm probably mixing up power signals and all that stuff, but where all of this is getting tapped into is over on that passenger side plug. But that kind of explains what we're modifying in the actual door. We'll go ahead and plug that back in. We'll go ahead and heat shrink all this stuff up and zip tie that nicely.
Kind of got it all tucked in here. Got some nice tape. And we are as OEM as we can possibly be with this kind of thing hidden in the door panel, changing our functions. I have a feeling that we are just not gonna get the full picture till nighttime. Well, we can at least shut the lights off. Let's try and shut the lights off, see what we got. Should help a little bit here. All right, what do we got? Check out these 5th gen taillights. Woo! Woo! Okay. Let's check out the amber situation. My goodness. Spaceship mode. All right, we got the light coming in over here. Let me block that. There we go. Oh yeah. They are bright. They are bright. Love it. Well, still not as good as nighttime, but you guys get the idea. Ambers. All of the amber. It's actually a little bit better here from the side. Oh yeah, those suckers are bright. Those suckers are bright. As I said before, if you guys are interested in some of the stuff that we just installed or some new mirrors for your truck or any other kind of accessory lighting, cool stuff like that, like I mentioned, Boost Auto Parts is the move. That's where all this stuff kind of came from. If you guys are looking for some of the similar stuff, we're kind of out of time for this video to get up, but the dually is now 100%. So we can now use it. There's no pending leftover stuff that when we actually go to use the truck, we have to like, oh, hey, don't make sure the blinkers are there and the mirror lights aren't wired up. But we did get at least one truck checked off the list. Oh boy, it is not nice outside right now. It was much nicer yesterday. But anyway, boys, guys, 5th gen could be yours. Down to very few days left. I'm not staying out here. But anyway, guys, if you haven't already, go check out Wrenchworks. Go get entered in the 5th gen. I promise you won't regret it. You need a new t-shirt at least. But anyway, guys, that is gonna wrap up this video. Stay tuned for some more epic videos. The dually is lit, literally. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.